Well, Ulises, a clunker if we've ever seen one. 20-1. The Rays get demolished by the Blue Jays at the Trop.
Before we start talking about this, I think we all should just take a sip.
Yeah.
Let's get started right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. If you do subscribe and listen and watch to our YouTube channel, you'll notice some new spruced up graphics. So if you like the new graphics setup and outline and backdrop, feel free to hit us in the comments and give us your thoughts and points. Speaking of backdrop, you'll notice I have a little bulletin board behind me, and depending on which way my computer is set up, I've got some pictures on the side. But as you'll notice, Ulises, you'll see that my board's a little bit vacant. It's empty. It needs some filler. It needs some Rays pizzazz and paraphernalia and memorabilia.
Baby steps. People didn't want a blank wall. Well, now you just have an empty cork board. So, baby steps. That's okay.
Yes. So
you'll get
what
there.
I'm asking any dedicated listener and watcher of the Locked On Rays podcast to do is send me any and all Rays memorabilia, whether it be an old bobblehead, a fan flag, whatever Ulises has. Try to mirror that and send it to me. Not my home address, my work address, 5335 8th Street, Zephyr Hills, Florida, 33542. Attention, Kevin Weiss. There we go. The real ones. And if you send me stuff, we'll give you a shout out for sure.
Oh, heck yeah.
On the podcast. And we'll promote it and let you know that so-and-so sent whichever item. So figured might as well, no better time to get that information, that housekeeping literally out of the way after a 20-1 drubbing, the worst loss in Rays history. Is that correct?
That is correct. The other one was 18-run differential in 2002 against the Boston Red Sox. So it's been 21 years since that game. And boy, this game felt like 21 years. Wow. Like, just if we had the definition of what a clunker is, just watch this game.
This was like a double clunker, a triple clunker. This is like 2-3 clunkers in one.
Yeah. And thankfully, it only goes down as one L. Thank you.
It should count as two, quite frankly. I mean,
it felt like it.
The Rays are the only organization. They are so weird, so quirky, so off the wall that they can be on pace to win 120 games, whatever it is at this point, 35-15, and have essentially the worst loss in franchise history, second worst loss in franchise history.
Isn't that just so what makes baseball beautiful? Mm-hmm. That's it, man. That's it. A team that can win 100+ games can get handed a 20-1 loss and look, again, there is a refrain or a saying or an idiom, maybe not an idiom, maybe a more saying, that goes, nobody looks as bad as when they lose and nobody looks as good as when they win, right? It's usually right in the middle. Whoa. I mean, thank you, refrain, because wow. I mean, where do we want to start? Because
Isaac Paredes getting the garbage time homer to help his arbitration case in a couple of years. Again, another up and in fastball, deposits it. That's really the one positive I can say for the Rays, right?
I mean, offensively, look, they had their chances in the first inning, bases loaded. They didn't capitalize on it. Obviously, it started with that Randy Arozarena hit by pitch. By the way, did you see it? Because I only heard it on the radio, and apparently there was like some, pomp and circumstance surrounding it. I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
I did not see it, but it seems like anytime Randy is involved in something like that, there is pomp and circumstance.
Well, again, just I heard it. It's just actually trivia time for you, Kevin, and for all of you that are listening and watching. Do you know how many times Randy Arozarena has been hit by pitches this season?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say it's got to be at least a half a dozen. I'm going to go on record and say 7.
And you would be right on the bleeping money. 7 times, dude. 7 times. That's as many times as Siri has home runs. That's as many times as Walls has home runs. That's as many stolen bags that's as many home runs as Wander Franco has. Like,
yeah,
my goodness.
And
I
don't think this is I did not see the video or the replay, whatever it may be. It does not seem like Craig Biggio, Jason Kendall, Anthony Rizzo situation where you're leaning the elbow and you're doing everything you can to get that hit by pitch. It seems like Randy is the byproduct of what he does and some of his antics isn't the right word, but pimping out a home run or a big play or a big maneuver, and teams don't like that.
I wouldn't put it past it that it's a factor into him getting hit that many times. I also think that, look, you can
talk about trying to really brush him off the plate.
I don't care about that pitcher's excuse. All I'm looking at is there are 2 outs, nobody on base. You can go after him if you want to send a message. And again, look, if you look at the Rays lineup right now, the guy is Randy Arozarena. Yes, Yandy Diaz, tremendous season. Wander Franco, tremendous season and in the face of the franchise. Brendan Lau, the power hitter of the team. Randy's the guy. Is
the New York Post writing about Randy Arozarena or about Yandy Diaz? No, they're writing about Randy.
And so he's the name. And so they go after that guy. They can deny, and we might be biased here. So obviously that you have to take that with consideration. But it does seem like 7 hit by pitches should be kind of a red flag here.
That's a little overkill. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell you about RocketMoney. RocketMoney is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that Stars app just to watch one single show, or that free gaming trial you never actually used. RocketMoney will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you. And the ones that you don't want to pay for anymore, just hit cancel, and RocketMoney will cancel it for you. It's that easy. In summary, RocketMoney helps you manage all your finances in one place and automatically categorizes your expenses so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. So stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. One more time, rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. In fact, Ulises, I heard a rumor, a little birdie told me that the New York Yankees actually used RocketMoney to slash Aaron Hicks off the roster. They're like, we don't want this anymore. Although it kind of doesn't really work because they still have to pay his contract. But hey, any unwanted players, just use the RocketMoney app and it might work for you.
Yeah, well, here I thought that you were told that a little birdie had pitched 1 inning and allowed 6 runs on 5 hits.
Who was that?
That's Mr. Birdie. Look at that.
Oh God,
that was rough.
These
man.
are garbage. Yeah, it's really bad.
Well, so not even though. I mean, the game is 4-0. You're coming into the 5th. Okay, Tosh didn't give you length. Sure.
Yeah.
But, you want to talk about Tosh like that? Hey, he didn't give you length. He got into trouble early. Sure.
he's making. Let's give him, not to interrupt here, but let's give Taj Bradley a little bit of a break and a breather.
Yes,
and understand the situation that he's been forced upon. He's making his 5th major league start at 21, 22 years old against. I know it's a Blue Jays team that is the technically cellar dweller of the AL East, but that lineup still has names like Springer and Bichette and Guerrero and Chapman and Belt, and you go up and down the list. It's still an intimidating bunch. And if there's something that I appreciate about Taj Bradley, besides racking up 7 strikeouts, is he gave up 3 consecutive hits to start the game, and he was still able to get out of that in okay shape by striking out the 3 batters after that. So being able to bounce back and recover to some extent, and then maybe be a little bit more focused and cerebral in the sense of, okay, I'm going to not throw 3 or 4 consecutive fastballs or cutters. I'm going to pitch backwards. I'm going to change things up a little bit. And, he got tagged a little bit to some respect, but that's not a terrible line, all intents and purposes, when you consider the scope of the situation.
No, it's not.
I know 9 hits is a lot, but
and well, that's precisely my point, Kevin. You can knock him a little bit, but it's not his fault the Rays lost. It really isn't. I mean, you're in the 5th inning. You have the best offense in MLB that you've shown through May 23rd. That can't be on the rookie, right? Like he is not the reason they lost. But the reason that you lost, maybe it's the fact that in a game that's 4-0, your option to go there is Mr. Birdie. In games of in seasons of the past, maybe that's a more reliable arm. Maybe that's an arm that has a little bit more major league experience. I'm, again, not saying Nick Anderson, not saying Soriano, not saying Liam Hendricks, not saying any of the big names, but we've all, if you're watching this, you've been accustomed to a certain type of bullpen for the Rays.
Yes.
This performance, since basically, would you be okay with kind of creating a pre and post of how the bullpen has performed ever since that last game in Chicago against the White Sox, where Clevenger gave up the walk-off, and I think it was Beeks beforehand that made a mess?
I think that's fair.
Since that game, the bullpen just has been kind of a roller coaster, and not a good one. And I hate roller coasters, so they're all horrible for me. So, it hasn't been fun. It hasn't been fun. A shame of a game, and we have it on the bullet points there. Mercy rule. We've talked about this.
Yeah, this is anytime there's a clunker game, especially a clunker game to this extent, I look.
Come on.
Well, quite frankly, I think the Rays basically gave up after they brought in Zach Birdie. You might as well brought in Luke Rayleigh or Christian Bethancourt at that point. Question: who would you rather have in that situation in the 5th inning? Birdie, Bethancourt, or Rayleigh? But all joking aside, sorry, you gotta laugh after one like this.
It's 20-1.
Yes,
it's 20-1. It's not even a football score.
Well,
there are football scores that are better than this.
The Blue Jays were playing adult slow pitch softball. Adult slow pitch softball with no home run limit. You could just play all day.
Oh my!
And the Rays were playing soccer.
Dude,
that's basically what.
That Luke Rayleigh inning, it was the never-ending story.
Here's my idea. Again, anytime that if it gets to a point, and we talked about this,
yes,
if a team has to bring in a position player, game over. All right, let's go home. Let's get a early good night's sleep. If we're not going to do that, and it looks like that's not going to be the case for the foreseeable future, at least give the fans something like, okay, bringing in a position player, free round of beer, free snacks for the kids, something. I don't know, a parking voucher for the next game. I mean, I feel bad for
people
the
are going to be like
1,000 and change fans.
People are going to be like, Kevin did it. Kevin somehow got to talk about parking in a clunker game. Look, man, I just feel like once you're putting out a Luke Raley, once you're putting out a Christian Bethancourt, a position player, my man, you're basically telling the world, you're basically telling the opposition, you're telling your fandom, we no longer think that we are going to win this game. We are giving up. So why not just call it a night? Just say, that's it. We're done. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
No, I agree. And maybe I tried to come up with an argument for wanting or the reason for continuing a game. And I would understand it if it's like, okay, let's give some action in the field or at the plate to some of our little used players, guys that, just haven't gotten run. Okay, let's do that. But then the other way I look at it is Luke Raley and Christian Bethancourt are pretty important players on this roster. And we've seen how things can go awry with whoever's standing on that mound.
Yep.
And I just would not want to take that chance.
No. Why would I? Christian Bethancourt is your
weird
starting
slip,
catcher.
A comebacker, whatever it may be.
Anything. And the Rays have been a part of that. Remember against the Red Sox? Like there was a liner against a position player that was pitching against the Rays, and he had to get out of the game. Like Christian Bethancourt is right now your starting catcher, who, by the way, just hits bombs every couple games. I mean, he could get hurt. Luke Raley, the biggest surprise, if not by Taylor Walls offensively, and he has to wear it. And man, like it all began with smiles and all that, and by the end of him being taken out, like there was no more smiles. Like basically by doing that, you just kind of ruined his night even more. I mean, he already feels horrible about the loss, but now he feels like in charge of that loss, which he really shouldn't. The game was lost by the point that the ball was given to him. But it's just, again, we're talking about human beings and not just data points on a spreadsheet. So obviously they're going to feel bad about this. Look, it sucks. I want a mercy rule to these games. Again, once you're willing to say to the world, to your fandom, to the paying customer that is literally watching you, that went over a bridge and paid parking and is now there enjoying themselves, you're going to tell that, look, we don't care about this game anymore.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And what's funny is like there is somebody or multiple somebodies at the Trop who are experiencing their first Rays game or first bit of baseball action. And that's what they come away with. That garbage, that hot garbage. What a shame.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. And again, with the mercy rule thing, like there would have to be some parameters in place if teams have to play at least 6 innings and, 7 innings, whatever it may be, but just kind of facilitate something there. I think with Manfred in charge, something could happen at some point. We've seen a lot of progressive changes in the game over the last couple of years. So I would not put it past them to get going there. But again, I mean, just like I made the point about, hey, give everybody a free beer or snack or something like that. I also understand it maybe from the Rays point of view of, hey, keep the game going longer so people buy more beer and snacks and hot dogs and chicken tenders and whatever it may be. The vendors and concessionaires probably have some skin in the game with that too.
Sure. And you can see it the other way too, right? Like, the TV advertisers, they want their prime time. They paid for that. But
nobody's watching a game at that point. I mean, come on.
Yeah, the paying customer also wants to, hey, I went over the bridge and now you're cutting the not only is the game sucky, but you're also going to cut it short. Like, I understand. It's just, for me, and actually, I guess for both of us, it just seems silly to just keep going when you've already said, I give up. Then give up for real. Then give up without having to risk any more player injuries,
Or maybe I talk about, just spitballing here, but once you bring in the position player to pitch, a guy not named Shohei Ohtani or Michael Lorenzen or, those handful of folks, just set a timer of like, hey, we're setting a timer for 15, 20 minutes. And then once the clock goes off, we're out of here. So
that's too much. People are going to hate the too much clocks, but yeah, man, something has to be done. This is ridiculous. Come on. 20-1.
Right. Okay. Well, we have some good news on the horizon, hopefully with somebody named, what's his, Tyler Glasnow? Something? I don't know.
I remember that guy. I think he's named Baby Giraffe too. He goes by that name too. Yeah. But before we get to that, Kevin, I got to tell you, about my favorite types of pants. And those are called the Birddogs, man. Look, I went to Randy Land last Friday. I had a terrific time because I saw Shane McClanahan shove and the Rays win it on a sacrifice fly, 1-0. It was fantastic. But I wouldn't have had such a great time at the Trop if I wasn't wearing my Birddogs. And boy, did they make me look so good. Okay. And you know why? Because first of all, they fit my body perfectly. I look better and I feel great wearing the Birddogs. Number two, they're so comfort. I mean, the stretchy fabric makes my legs look great. You know it. You've seen pictures, Kevin. And
Yes,
they're comfier than my other shorts and pants. And number three, the versatility. They gave me the freedom to walk around the Trop. And then the next day, I took another pair and I did yoga in the park. And I know that on Sunday, you went to the golf course and you also wore Birddogs. So
I'm glad you brought that up because I literally did go to the golf course on Sunday and I literally did wear Birddogs. And I literally was on pace to have my best round in memory before we got rained out after 13 holes. I was over after 13.
Correlation, causation,
100% because it was hot, it was humid, it was steamy, and I didn't have to wear underoos with my Birddog, so I just felt that much more comfortable. While my opponent was, sweating and ready to pass out.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I was flying in my Birddogs.
It's a great way to have a great time. So today, you got to get yourself a pair of Birddogs. So go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb. And when you enter promo code lockedonmlb, they will throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. So again, go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb. And when you enter promo code lockedonmlb, you get a free custom Birddogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. So go to Birddogs today. And you know what? Maybe I should have worn my Birddogs while watching that game because maybe I would have been a little bit more comfortable,
Yeah, that's true. So
yeah.
All right, Tyler Glasnow. He in his last outing in AAA Durham, 2 hits, 1 earned run in 6 innings. Reports are that he'll be back in the rotation this weekend for the Rays, bringing some stability and punch desperately needed, especially with Springs out, Rasmussen out in the bullpen in shambles temporarily anyway. Ulises, what are your expectations for Tyler Glasnow? Because I'm having trouble, as much as I love Tyler Glasnow's game in his repertoire, and he has ace level stuff, is one of the most dangerous electric pitchers in all of baseball, most fun to watch pitchers in all of baseball. The H word continues to scare me a little bit. The health and whether he'll be able to win. He returns this weekend if he can sustain it through hopefully a deep run in October.
I can see your perspective on being a little bit worried on the injury front, on the health front for Tyler, but
because he already had a setback, and then he also had a little minor issue, and it's like, what's going to be next?
I understand that, but again, the last 4 innings, no earned runs. Last one, 6 innings, only 1 earned run. This guy's shoving right now. He's shoving, and yes, I think when you talk about pitcher injuries or like, what did you call it? Like a backstep, a misstep, or a minor injury, minor concern.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Rays, like it seems like they are very, very cautious. And we have learned this by now. Like, even if it's like a little twinge of pain, they're like, nope, shut it down right now. Now, has that helped? Well, I mean, people are still getting injured, but maybe they would be getting injured even more if they weren't that cautious. So I think we don't have to pay too much mind on the fact that, he had that second outing cut short when he went only for an inning. I don't think so. So no, what I'm expecting him to be a number 1 for this rotation and to go 1A, 1B with Shane McClanahan. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I think his teammates are expecting. That's what I think most of the fandom is expecting. And I think that's exactly what Tyler Glasnow is expecting of himself. It's just go out there and be the pitcher that next year is going to be valued at $25 million a year. Like, that's the type of pitcher that you should be expecting and you should be seeing. Because again, that is a major financial point for the Rays, is that he is basically a $30 million pitcher for the next 2 years. Yes, can you trade him? Sure, but why would you trade him if he's pitching that well and you're in position? I've made my position very clear on this. I believe that Tyler Glasnow is not going to be traded at all.
Yeah.
Not in 2023 and not in 2024.
Well, this would be a bad time to trade him, I would think, with his value and question marks kind of up in the air with the health concern and so forth. So doing the math, the Rays have 112 games left. If you divide that by 5, you have roughly 22, 23 starts. If pitcher X was to average 5 innings per start over those 22 and some change starts, it comes out to about 112 innings pitched. So my question is, Tyler Glasnow back in the fold beginning this weekend, does he get to 100 innings, at least 100 innings pitched in the regular season for the Rays?
Ooh, thank you for making it that easy for me. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He will reach the century mark because, and I'll tell you what, the fact that he already pitched 6 innings, dude, in AAA to get warmed up, to get rehab ready.
Okay.
That tells me that they're like, nah, we're going to need you to go 6. Again, look at the the state of the nation. No, state of the bullpen. Like, buddy, we're going to need you to give us 6 on the regs, because if not, we have a situation where we're going to have to go to our middle leverage / low leverage relievers, and that could become a Tuesday evening game very quickly,
unfortunately. And what's crazy is I was just comparing Glasnow and McClanahan, and
so similar.
I guess you could believe this, but McClanahan almost has as many innings pitched in his career as Glasnow has.
Isn't that nuts?
McClanahan's at like 346. Glasnow's at like 406. Glasnow's been in the league for a lot longer than Shane McClanahan, like twice as long.
Yeah, I mean, I think he made his debut in 2017,
2016.
2016, look at that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a minute. But again, he's been injured. Hopefully that is a thing of the past. And if he's injured again, knock on wood, it's a very small minor thing and nothing else happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting him to shove, and I guess we're going to see him on Saturday. So we'll be sure to preview that. And we're going to have Evan Klosky this week, and we're going to talk to him. I do want to get his state of his perspective on the state of the bullpen. I know that he's been cheekily tweeting about the bullpen, so I want him to come and say his piece about it.
Yeah, it's always great to have Klosky on. We also plan to have a mailbag. We don't have time to get into this, but what the Rays are doing with their pre and post game radio situation, doing auditions and tryouts over this week, is pretty awesome. I'll just mention it. It looks like Steven Cusimano, Chris Adams-Wall, and Greg Caserta are battling for that full-time pre and post game spot. So I do want to kind of touch on that at some point, hopefully, but I love the idea of, hey, let's not just name somebody. Let's not just pick somebody, but let's have an open tryout. It'd be great if the Rays did some crowdsourcing too, and kind of gauged the listeners on who they like the most.
They're doing a Jeopardy thing. Didn't they do that with Jeopardy before picking one guy? I think so.
Jeopardy is out of my purview. I do not know much about Jeopardy and the inner workings of that outside of
I'm pretty sure they did. They had like celebrities and all that until they finally picked Jennings. Jennings, the guy that was like the biggest, Jeopardy winner at the time. Yeah.
That's fair, but might touch on that sometime this week. And hopefully the Rays don't lose 20-1 on
anymore.
Anymore. This season or ever. That would be nice. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.